got you covered. This is News 4 Tucson.
All right, let's break down Arizona Wildcat football. The Cats with a 51-27 loss to Washington. I'm David Kelly, joined as always by Glenn Howell, U of A football class of 1985. And Glenn, well, let's start with my top takeaway from this game. And I thought it really was the second half and the quarterback play. And Jacob Eason and the Washington offense in that second half and the way they made adjustments to attack the U of A DBs in coverage, quick slants, deep routes, sideline routes. I mean, it didn't matter who it was that was guarding, whether it was Lorenzo Burns or Chase Whitaker or Christian Roland Wallace. Jacob Eason went after our defensive backs, and he made throws connecting with his receivers to move the football. I believe he was 8 of 10 in the second half passing. He made plays where Khalil Tate just could not make plays, and to me that was the difference in the ball game.
Yeah, a total difference. Eason made plays in windows. That's what we know. We call them windows, okay? He made plays in small windows, which we could not do. Jacob Eason, he did that. He just was making plays. I mean, they had small windows. Our DBs had good coverage on them, and he was throwing the 50-50 ball up, and their guys were coming down with it.
And that's, I think, when you look at Khalil Tate, and we were so high on what we had seen from him in the Colorado game, I think, to me, that's the most disappointing thing, is you wanted to see him take that next step and be able to do that against a consistently, really one of the top defenses in the Pac-12. And he just couldn't do it. And it wasn't all his fault. I'm not going to put all of the blame on Khalil Tate, but you just wanted to see him continue to be consistent. I mean, obviously he couldn't run the football. And I want to stop right here because I want you to hear what Kevin Sumlin said after the press conference, or at the press conference after the ball game, when he was asked if Khalil Tate was hurt.
Is he 100% healthy?
I don't know. I'll just be honest with you. Don't know.
He said he didn't know, Glenn.
Yeah.
I would think the head coach would know if your quarterback was hurt or not. But here we are again, not knowing if Khalil Tate is healthy, not knowing what he can do and what he can't do. It was clear to me, and we said this after the Colorado game, it was clear he could not run the football, but he was able to stand back there and make plays with his arm. It was clear he could not or was not going to run the football against Washington, and he could not make the same plays with his arm.
Dave, we've been on this roller coaster, and what we need to know is if he is playing in the game, he can do everything. Okay, that's what I'm assuming that he can do, because it's just frustrating as heck. We have to understand what the pocket is. We have to understand how to step up into the pocket. We got to give our linemen a chance to make their blocks when they're shaping the pocket. Those are important things to do. And receivers have to get open off the man-to-man coverage. It was a whole gamut of things that were happening on our offense that wasn't working. And we have to get better on that, because next week we have the same thing but better athletes. So we better be ready.
Yeah, that's why I say it wasn't necessarily all his fault. I look at that third quarter, and drive by drive, you go into that third quarter leading by 4. First drive, Peyton Fears misses a block. That kills that drive. Next drive, Joyner loses a fumble. That kills that drive. Next drive, you get into the red zone, and Thomas Reed holds on a touchdown, and then Edgar Garola gets beat on one of those blitzes for a sack. And the next thing you know, you're down 3 touchdowns because the other guy on the other side is making plays. So not necessarily all his fault, but like you said, Glenn, he just doesn't understand the pocket still, and we're 6 games now into his senior season.
And Dave, the thing is that we knew that the margin of error was very small for this game, and we had to be able to not make those mistakes. And I don't think it's what Washington was doing to us. I think it's what Arizona was doing to us, because those fumbles, not taking care of the ball. The one on Khalil when he made the fumble and made the touchdown, I've never even seen anything about like that. I've never seen anything like that. And that's something that you just can't do. And then Jamari's got to take care of the ball. Stanley got hit by one of our own guys. we were self-inflicting wounds. We were the ones, take the gun out of our hands, take the knife out of our hands. We had to be able to not do that to ourselves, and we can't do that against a good team.
Well, one of the things we disagree on, I think, is that I thought their defense was the better team. The way they were blitzing, some of the way they were disguising those blitzes with Miles Bryant coming off the edge. I mean, and you're asking Donovan Laie to stop him? That's a tall chore for an offensive lineman to have to stop a defensive back of that caliber on a blitz.
And this is the thing, Dave. We can woulda, shoulda, coulda, okay? So let's woulda, shoulda, coulda. If Khalil could make some of those plays on those small windows, and they're saying, wow, he's hitting those small windows, and we're hitting on those slants, we're hitting on the RPOs and everything. We can't blitz. So that changes the whole dynamic of the game, okay? But he wasn't doing that. So they just came every single time to us, and they said, you're going to have to beat us, and they knew that they couldn't.
Yeah, well, it was great to see J.J. Taylor back in the mix and running hard on a day when you were without two of your offensive weapons, and that obviously was something else when you don't have a Gary Brightwell who was injured, you don't have a Bam Smith who was injured. So, but JJ came out, and I thought he played an outstanding ball game. Grant Gunnell got into this game late, Glenn, and I know there was a lot of talk about that and whether or not that should have happened. To me, at this point, I don't think that really matters. I mean, him playing in this game, he played in a blowout game against Northern Arizona. That's when backups play, and you still got another game to make a decision on him. And I think if it gets to the point where he's going to play, it's going to be because Khalil Tate can't be on the field. Now, either that or at some point, do you make a decision and say, look, if he goes out and Khalil Tate goes out and has another bad game against USC, do you then sit down and start to decide, well, do we want to just put this kid in there now because he's the future? And I think that's what a lot of the fans are asking.
Well, I'll tell you what I think. I think we ride Khalil. We ride him till we can't ride him anymore, okay? We're going to ride Khalil. Let him play that first half. If it's a horrible first half, then we got to go. We're going to the future.
Yeah, because, I mean, again, if he's not running the football in these types of games, he may be able to sit back there and make throws like he did against Colorado, but he's got to have that running element against the teams like Washington and USC and Stanford, and particularly USC and Stanford because they're the next two teams on the schedule. He's got to have that element to be for this offense to be able to compete. And if he can't do it, it's going to be very hard for them to win these next two games.
Yeah, it's the next two games we have, Dave, are going to be even better athletes. We're gonna run into some at USC, but only thing we have going against USC, there's chaos over at USC. Okay, they could be saying, you know what? You're not going to be here next year, so I don't have to listen to I'm going to get my money, and I'm going to start making my plays. And then that takes the concept of the whole team defense, the team offense goes out the window. So we should hope for that, okay? But I don't know what's going to happen over there. Are they going to come together and rally? But we have to be able to be mistake-free next week, and I just hope we get to clean all this up, what we did against Washington, and we're going to have a chance.
All right, you gave me a gift card for one of my steak dinners.
Yes.
I think one of my 7 steak dinners that I have now in the Arizona
I'm
USC
behind.
rivalry.
I got a past due notice from you. And I said, okay, I'm going to have to come back.
So we will be back, and we'll preview that game for you coming up on Saturday morning.